China takes unrest in Tibet seriously. Can the people's propaganda do what the People's Army could not? The Empire Strikes Back. Next on Global Pulse. A comparison of how broadcasters worldwide are covering this story. A protester disrupting the Olympic torch lighting ceremony made news worldwide, but not in China. As the Olympic torch started its journey, the real competition between two versions of events is taking place half a world away. Initial reports on ABC News blame riots in Tibet on Chinese suppression.
Overseas in Tibet, reports of a crackdown tonight by the Chinese military.
Tibet is burning. On the streets of Lhasa, protesters set cars, businesses, and Chinese flags on fire. Chinese troops responded with force. At least 2 protesters were reportedly killed.
France's TV5 explored the history of Chinese aggression in Tibet.
March 1959. From Beijing, the Army of Liberation brings soldiers to the Potala Palace, the winter residence of the Dalai Lama. The monks of Lhasa rose up, but faced with the troops of Mao Zedong, they gave up their arms. The spiritual leader of the Tibetans was forced to quit the Kingdom of Snow. Beijing imposed the Cultural Revolution, and the Communist Party controlled the territory, forcing abortions and sterilizations, making mass arrests and deportations. More than 1 million Tibetans were killed by the Chinese.
As the riots spread, Fox News and Al Jazeera English were critical of China.
This is the way China's been reporting Tibet's troubles. No talk of independence or the simmering frustration born of Chinese rule. The government still maintains no shots were fired at the protesters, contradicting eyewitness accounts.
The movement of TV journalists here in Chengdu is now severely restricted. We have been banned from taking our cameras into the streets and are now largely confined to our hotel rooms. The Chinese government is doing all it can to prevent us from showing the crackdown and from talking to this city's large Tibetan population.
But BBC News presented a different view of the violence. One that shows Tibetans as the aggressors.
Here, Tibetans attack ethnic Chinese. They use anything that will make a weapon. This Chinese man is outnumbered by Tibetans. They show him little mercy. The Chinese have to run away. They believe that Tibet is part of their country, but the Tibetans disagree. And this is how they've decided to make their point.
With the situation spinning nearly out of control, Chinese media took the propaganda offensive, as China's Asia Today and China Today make clear.
Barzan smashed a food store and took several bags of flour. He says when he saw on TV the local authorities' notice urging the rioters to surrender, he realized his behavior had broken the law. When asked how his act would harm his family, Barzan looked sad and regretful.
It was wrong. I won't do it again.
The mountainous Aba County in northwestern Sichuan saw rioters attacking shops and government offices on Sunday afternoon. They shouted slogans related to Tibet independence. These acts of sabotage were well planned, and they can all be traced to the Dalai clique, whose motive is to disturb the Beijing Olympics, destroy peace and stability, and split the country.
As far as I know, anybody is free to believe or not to believe in Buddhism in Tibet.
Buddhism and Buddhists are now deep in the fabrics of Tibetan life. And with China's commitment to freedom of religion, the monks in Lhasa are expected to continue their tradition.
As the Olympic torch began its long trip, China took one more precaution. The torch will visit every continent on its way to Beijing, but
after the flame arrives in Beijing at the end of March, a second torch will be lit and taken to southwest China's Tibet Autonomous Region.
For Global Pulse, this is Erin Coker.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only US network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.